Fast and pray until the Lord of your house comes home, because the house is your body and the Lord is the Holy Spirit. You have to make space for him to come in and invite him in, because when the stomach is empty, the mind is empty. The reason so many people have these racing minds that will not be quiet and they can't sit still for a minute is because their digestive system's off.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to take a moment to introduce myself to anyone who is new. I am Rebecca, and I spent most of my life as an atheist and then got deep into New Age spirituality for about 2 years. And then Jesus saved me in a profound dream. If you want to hear my entire testimony, please watch episode number 29 of the podcast. If you want to get in touch with me, the best way to do that is through email. You can email me at Rebecca, LEM123@gmail.com. And also, if you want to set up one-on-one call with me just to get to know me or share your story with me, you can use the link in my link tree to set that up. It's completely free. And if you'd like to share your testimony, please send me a message. I would love to share your testimony here on the podcast. And if you want to support the ministry, there are 2 ways to do so. You can either make a donation or you can shop at the FFT store, where we sell items such as the one I'm wearing now, which says Salty Matthew 5:13, but there's lots of other options in there. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to message me. Enjoy today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Finding Fulfillment Together podcast. I am once again speaking with my friend Leonie, who was actually on the podcast to share her testimony a few weeks back. Thank you so much for being here again.
Oh, thank you for having me, Rebecca. Honestly, it's so lovely to connect with you and be able to talk about fasting.
Yes, yes. So we are going to talk about fasting, which is so interesting because we had decided to do this because it's something that you are passionate about, dedicated to, which we didn't talk much about during the episode. So we said, hey, let's do a part 2 and talk about fasting. And then turns out I'm actually doing a fast through my church. We're doing the Daniel fast for 21 days. And today is the second day of that fast, which was not planned to be able to, to have this conversation during this. So it's really funny how that worked out.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
meant to be. I feel like stuff like this always happens when you're fasting. You just get all these synchronicities or people coming and finding you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's dive in because I definitely have a ton of questions because it's all new
Mhm.
to me. I used to fast. This is interesting that this is coming up in my mind because I used to fast when I was in New Age. I was doing a fast one through hold on, what was it? I think it was 3 days a month, and it was in relation to the moon cycle, and it was when the moon was in
Yeah.
my sun sign, and I would do a juice fast for 3 days. I was trying to I was doing something called sacred secretion where it was like, have you heard of this before?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. So I was trying to like increase my sacred secretion. So, and with the microcosmic orbit and all of that stuff. And the fast was, this juice fast was supposed to help in that process, which, we know everything in New Age, there is some truth to, right? And it is aligned to something that is of God, but it's perverted and counterfeit. So anyway, I am familiar with fasting, and now that I'm a Christian, I am still kind of finding my way with like how I want to fast and when. But for me, I'm coming to the understanding that the purpose of fasting is to just draw closer to the Lord. But I'm not sure I completely understand how that is or why that works. So I'm definitely interested in asking you questions. So I guess I just want to let you kind of opening it up and like, what is your take on fasting? Why do you think that we should fast?
Oh, there's so much here. But, well, I mean, first and foremost, I believe that we as humans are designed to fast. We're
Mm,
not great species like horses. I have a horse. If she stops eating for 4 hours, she'll get so sick with a stomach ulcer. But for humans, we're actually made to run off our reserves. We wouldn't be here right now if our ancestors weren't really competent at fasting because we're designed to be that way. So there's the biology side of it. And then the spiritual side and the emotional side is, I kind of think of it like you've got to be empty in order to become filled. So many of us, we're walking around, and I mean, I don't know about you, but when I look at people in society, they are all so sick and unhappy, and it's because people are so full of, they've got bloated bellies of processed foods, they've got inflamed brains, their endocrine system's firing wrong, they are completely full of processed, unnatural things that their body doesn't know what to do with. And they're also filled with thoughts that, are just racing and dark and stressful. And when all that is going on in your body, there's not really much space for anything else to come in.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so the process of fasting, it's the process of becoming empty so that you can be filled. And something, I actually want to read something here. When I first discovered fasting, I discovered a manuscript called the Essene Gospel of Peace. I
Okay.
don't know if you're familiar with it.
It sounds familiar, but I've not read it.
Yeah. So I don't believe it's canon, but I think there's a lot we can learn from it. And it says, and all of these things, it's talking about the sins of the flesh. So like gluttony, drinking, promiscuity, all of these things do you carry in yourselves, in your flesh. And so the word and the power of God enter not into you, because all manner of evil and all manner of abominations have their dwelling in your body and your spirit. If you will that the living God's word and his power may enter you, defile not your body and your spirit, for the body is the temple of the spirit, and the spirit is the temple of God.
Mm.
Purify therefore the temple, that the Lord of the temple may dwell therein and occupy a place that is worthy of him. Okay, what's it
Amen.
saying?
Wow, that is beautiful.
It's saying you need to fast and pray.
Mm.
Fast and pray until the Lord of your house comes home, because the house is your body and the Lord is the Holy Spirit. You have to make space for him to come in and invite him in. And that's not just a process of, wanting the Holy Spirit to come into. Yes, it works that way, but when you really go deep and you humble yourself and you face yourself in fasting and you become empty, He will come into your life in such a powerful way. Because when the stomach is empty, the mind is empty. The reason so many people have these racing minds that will not be quiet and they can't sit still for a minute is because their digestive system's off. So there's also the biology um, of this.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh. I'm like, this is hitting home. Like I'm feeling
yeah,
this. Like I
it's
really, I mean,
powerful.
it's very powerful. And so I want to break a couple things down. Like, okay, first of all, when you first start fasting, especially when you haven't done it, your body is filled with all kinds of toxins, all kinds of things,
Yeah.
especially in this world that we live in with like processed food just being at our, fingertips all the time. So do you have any information on like the first few days are always the hardest and like or maybe I'm wrong about that, but it feels for me like that
Mm,
transition and like your body has to kind of get used to this like of not having all that stuff that's used to having.
mm.
Which is a good thing because it's cleaning itself out. But like I know people get headaches, maybe nausea, just super like very uncomfortable during that time. Is that like the body cleansing itself?
Yeah, so it is definitely part of the cleansing, but also you need to be very mindful about not kind of shocking the body. And there is a line between fasting versus, putting your body in a very stressful state. And that's what we always want to avoid. I really want to teach people that, personally, I've done a lot of very deep, long fasts. And people always think, oh, well, how did you do that? You must be so strong. No, I didn't. I just moved very, very slowly and I listened to my body. And I've been doing it for so many years. I've just been able to kind of move up the days and get longer and longer. Fasting is such a gentle process of listening to your body and relaxing. It's not about white knuckling through it and thinking, oh, I'm like, this is awful. I just want a cookie. I've got a headache. It's not that at all. Okay. In the process of fasting, it begins long before you actually start fasting. So, I mean, there are different types of fast, but in particular, if you want to do something like a water fast, the prep for that starts 3 months before. Okay,
Wow.
because you've got to really clean out the body. And the cleaner your body is, the better the experience you will have when you're fasting.
Mm.
Because you've got to think of it like, I like to think of it like someone cleaning their house. So, say you're working full time, you have a full schedule, you're not really going to have time to go around and clean your house, clean all the gutters, clean out the freezer. But if I take away your job, you're going to have all this extra time to do this additional cleaning, right? It's the same with the body. If my body is digesting all day long, I'm eating snacks, late at night, early in the morning, it's always got that full-time job of digestion. But when I take away that load and I'm taking in maybe juices, which kind of rests the digestive system, or water, it's like the body can use all this additional energy to think, oh, I'm going to go clean up this thing and this old injury. And that's when the healing goes deeper. But if you're moving into the fasting space, and it's like there's already so much matter in your digestive system, so much toxicity you're carrying, sometimes it can be too stressful for the body to break it down all at once. And that's when we get these detox symptoms. I mean, they can happen sometimes they're unavoidable, particularly when we have a lot of like heavy metals or we've got some stuff going on in the liver. But the idea is when you prep properly for a fast, your body will just like seamlessly transition into that space because it wants to go in to do that cleaning. And once you transition the body to living off your reserves, this usually is what happens about 3 days into fasting. You should start feeling really good, really at peace, really quiet of mind. And so the colon cleansing is incredibly important. If you go into a fast and your colon's clean, you shouldn't really have many detox symptoms. And also moving on to more hydrating foods before you go into the fasting space. Okay, so if we think about fasting like cleaning, what we can do is start this process before we go into the fasting space. So I think of it like, most people today, we eat a lot of bread and processed food and sugar and meat. That's okay. There's a time and space for that. No one's perfect. But these aren't actually cleaning the body, they're burdening the body because it takes so much energy to break them down. But if we bring in things like the juices, the smoothies, the water-rich fruit, before we go into the fasting space, we're bringing in the cleaners so that the body becomes more hydrated, so that the bowels are moving, so that everything that's kind of locked inside gets broken down before we go into the fasting space. It's like we're getting the ball rolling. I think of it like if you were to clean your bathroom, you go to the shop, you don't buy a clean air and it's got like bread extract or chicken, you buy it and it's got lemon, grapefruit, it's got these citrus fruits because the oils in the citrus fruit, they start to break down the scum in your bathroom, in your sink, but also inside of your body. It will start clearing you out. This is very good for the kidneys and the bladder as well if anyone struggles with that. So you're bringing in these cleaners before you move it into the fasting space to set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
Everything in the fasting space is about success. And when I work with clients, we start so slow. I want people to quit when they're ahead, just get a feel for it, but focus really deeply on the preparation and also the breaking of fast. Because if you're fasting, it's not just, say, you're doing 3 days on water, it's what you're doing either side. And a mistake a lot of people make, I see this a lot in church, if you're just fasting for spiritual reasons, that's amazing. And I hope you get everything you want, but you're missing out on a tremendous opportunity to kind of up level after your fast. Because when you break the fast, what you break the fast with is what your new cells are going to be made out of. You want them to be made out of the most vibrant, hydrating, wonderful foods ever. It's not about restricting and then going and having a feast on all this junk food that you've been thinking about for 3 days. I mean,
Yeah.
how is that not making a complete idol of food and also just making yourself miserable?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have to share and be honest here. So before this fast, what I was doing, well, I've done a couple different things, but I started out as a Christian trying to fast 3 days a month, water fast.
Mm-hmm.
I did not prepare. I just said I'm going to stop eating from this time to this time,
Yeah.
and it was hard, it's difficult. Like, and I would get headaches and then of course I'm like watching the clock until it's the time I'm allowed to eat again. And then I would eat a bunch of food and like, okay, I did it. Thank you, Lord. And were there sometimes definitely like downloads and I got clear messages from God? Yes. But it was also just most of it was just mainly like just difficult. And I'm like, I don't even know really why I did that, And then what I've been doing recently is just doing 1 day a week. Instead of doing 3 days a month, I've been doing 1 day a week. Again, not preparing properly though. And now I'm going into this 21-day Daniel fast, which is much different because I'm eating. I'm not, doing water fast. I'm eating, just cutting out like a ton of different food groups. The Daniel fast, just to kind of give people an idea, and you probably know way better than me, but basically you can have any vegetables, any fruit, grains, legumes, but no meat, no dairy products, and no sugar. Unleavened bread is fine, but no, like not regular bread. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing for the next 21 days. But like this conversation is already so enlightening to me that like I didn't prepare properly even for this one. But what I really want to realize over the next 21 days as I'm doing it is like, okay, what comes next? Because I'm not going to end this and just go back to binging on junk food. Like I really want this to be the beginning of like you said, like creating new cells and treating my body as the temple that it is. And once I invite the Lord in over these next 21 days, I don't want to say, okay, cool, it was nice, see ya. I'm gonna go back, to eating all the junk. Like I really do want to continue on like healthy, not just healthy, but like truly taking care of my body. So yeah, what do you typically suggest as far as like a fasting cycle? I know it's probably different for every person, but is there like when someone comes to you wanting to do this, do you typically say, water fast 3 days a week, or I mean, sorry, 3 days a month, or like how do you normally tell people is the best way to fast?
Yeah, so because I work with people who are chronically ill, it's quite different. So usually we just start really slowly and we're working towards the longer fast to do deep, deep cleaning in the body.
Mm,
But if someone's already healthy, I think a 1 day a week fast is a fantastic way to start.
mm,
Um, some some doctors are fasting, they say 1 day a week, 3 days a month, and 7 days a season.
mm,
That would be fantastic, but I think most people in today's world, we're not really clean enough for that, and we also don't have the schedule for it.
mm,
So it really depends on the person and what their intentions are. I think a fast can be varied in many different ways. Some people they just want to do a fruit fast or a juice fast. This can be very, very healing, but you're still able to keep up with your responsibilities. So it's hard to say really. Personally, I try to do 1 day a week, and then every season change, I'll do a longer one on water. That's
mm,
what my body feels called to. But I know not everyone is like me. Not everyone wants to disappear into the wilderness and fast for a period, but that's really such a nourishing space. And I think it's interesting you talk about what you want to let go of after the fast, because I think fasting it's so much a process of letting go, and it's a rebirth process. And part of the rebirth is aspects of you have to die in the sense that you leave them behind. And this is usually when somebody is struggling to let go, they can struggle more with the physical aspects of the fast. And
mm,
on day 3, when the body switches over and starts feeding off its reserves, there can be a mental block that comes up. I have a lot of people who I've worked with, they just seem to not be able to get from day 3 to day 4. And it's because once you hit day 4 and you're running off your own reserves and the mind quiets, there is this like demand that comes, I don't know if it's from your body or from the Holy Spirit, but that you must face yourself. And
mm,
you can't ignore the things that you were ignoring anymore. Because when you're running off the food you're taking in, your mind is busy, you're distracted, you've got all these screens going on. It's very easy to avoid yourself. But actually, in fasting, every single thing you have been running away from will come up and meet you. And it
mm,
comes up in a gentle way. I don't want to scare people off, but I think in order to get to the higher days, you have to be willing to face yourself. And God, if He has called you to fasting, it's because there's something He wants to show you. God will sit you down and back you into a corner to get you to face yourself because there is something there. And it's not about judgment, it's not about being angry at yourself. Quite often, fasting is the time when we are called to process grief that we haven't processed previously. And that's very important to note. And I always say to my clients, every fast, it's like a little gift. You're given this gift on day 1, but you won't actually know what it is until the end of the fast, or sometimes even after. Because we always go into the fasting space with an intention, maybe I want to heal my gut or my kidneys or whatever. But the gift of the fast will always be different to what you think it is, because it's an emotional gift or a spiritual gift. And it's becoming the woman you become through the process of facing yourself and sitting with these triggers for the cravings, for the screens, for the validation, for whatever. That is the gift. So the most recent fast I did was a 12-day water fast in Bali. I was also in a vow of silence, fasting from screens, no nothing, which is really, it's the way to do it if you want to go within.
Yeah.
I walked into this fast wanting to heal my colon, which I did. I experienced lots of healing. That's wonderful. But the gift of the fast was really a tremendous amount of forgiveness for some people in my family. And I didn't even know I was holding that unforgiveness, but I had to sit with it and grieve it. And that gift is what has made me a different version of myself now.
Mhm.
And it's so beautiful. And I know, like, whenever there is something kind of big going on in my life, I feel the call to fast. There's a call to go within and let go of something else so that I can move forward. And it's not always easy. But if you walk this path with God and you invite Him in, and also you treat yourself so, so gently, realize you're not doing this to prove anything. Could fast forever and still be avoiding yourself. But it's, can I just sit here and be with myself in the silence, in the tenderness of this situation, and just notice what comes up? That's
Yeah.
all you need to know. That's all you need to do.
Mhm.
If you're meant to cry, the tears will come on their own. If you're meant to break fast, you will. It's about that deep, deep surrender. And I think sometimes that's why fasting can trigger people, because we don't know how to let go of control. And I think sometimes people can feel in life like when something is going to transform them, we kind of shy away from it. I think this is why a lot of people, they run away from falling in love with someone. They can feel it will change them on every level, so they pull back. It's the same with fasting. I can feel that there is this mysterious black hole in front of me. And if I go into that space, I'm going to have to come out different, because that is the requirement. That is like the tax I pay to get through the gate of every single day.
Mhm.
And we want to shy away from that. But actually, it is the most beautiful, beautiful thing, you know? And
Yeah.
we need to start looking at our relationship to food and our relationship to consumption, because everyone is so hooked on sugar and all these processed foods. We use them as a way to cope with life. But actually, coming home to God is about saying, I don't want to cope anymore. I want to live.
Yeah.
Your soul doesn't want a brownie. Your
Mhm.
soul wants Jesus. Your soul wants water. It wants silence and peace and reflection. This is the greatest nourishment you could ever get.
Yeah.
And after you experience that, you come out of the fast. If you refeed properly, the chocolate tastes different afterwards,
Mhm.
because it's just chocolate. It's not this emotional support. It's not got this latch onto you anymore. And that is what I want for every single person, particularly all of my clients, because changing your diet and changing your life, it's not about white knuckling it with discipline and thinking about the chocolate and the junk food and wanting it so badly but resisting. It's about moving into a space where that no longer appeals to you.
Right.
And there's the biology of that with changing the microbiome, which we work on, but it's also the spiritual aspect. What are you actually hungry for?
Mhm. What are you actually hungry for? That is such a
Mm,
good question, because Jesus tells us He is the bread of life. He
yeah.
is the living water. Like that 100% is what we're actually hungry for, is Him. And the way that you describe that, that fear of knowing that, if I commit to this, my whole life's going to change. It's the same fear we have to accepting Jesus. A lot of
Mm,
people even say that to me, that like, I don't know, I know I'd have to change everything about my life to live to if I was a Christian. Like, yeah. Yeah, but when you do it, again, it's not white knuckling. It's not like, oh, I just wish I could live the way I used to. You have no desire to live the way you
yeah.
used to. Like, you
Mhm.
look at that person and that's not who you are anymore. So it really is, fasting is a really interesting mirror to that like relationship with Jesus, and it's a way to get us deeper into that relationship. Wow. That it's deep. And now it makes so much sense why I mean, the Bible is there's so much talk about fasting in the Bible. I mean, the in the Old Testament, they fasted for months out of the year. Um, which is really interesting. Like there's a reason for that,
Yeah.
and we've gotten far, far from away from that.
Mm.
So what do you like, I guess I would imagine that there's no time to reintroduce processed foods or sugar, really. Like, really, you should not be consuming those things. I'm sure there's a place where you have a treat here or there, but like, it doesn't do anything good for your body.
Yeah.
And so I guess what is your typical suggestion for people coming out of the fast, like what their diet should be for on a regular everyday basis?
That's a great question. It's something I usually avoid because I'm very against the information wars in the diet,
Mm,
and I think ultimately, if you heal your body through fasting, you can delve into whatever feels right for your body.
mm,
I really believe, the most important thing is to have a healthy relationship with food. People
mm,
come to me a lot and say, "Oh, is this food good? Is that food good?" I don't really want to think about food in terms of good or bad. I believe every single thing has its medicine. If you want to gain weight and grow muscle, meat is amazing. If you need to heal, and you've got pain in your body, the fruit is amazing. If you want something easy and you're healthy and you're a runner, you can bring in the lentils and the pulses. Every single thing has its medicine, and so it is incredibly unique. Um, but what I work with my clients is we are focusing on a very like a detox heavy lifestyle. We want to be in the fasting space as much as we can because that's going to get them out of pain quickest. So usually if someone is water fasting, for example, either side of the water fast, they'll sandwich it with a juice fast, and then that will be sandwiched with maybe a smoothie fast or a fruit fast. And so the way that we lead into the fasting space is so, so slow,
mm,
gently reducing the fiber day by day. And starting out with the fruit is incredible because it breaks down all the stagnancy in the lymphatic system and it's naturally anti-parasitic. So you're getting a very natural cleanse before you go into the fasting space. So people, when they're deep in a detox cycle, focusing on fruit and fresh living foods is essential. I would never recommend anyone to go from eating dense meat and rice and pasta or coffee into a fast. That's just the worst thing ever. Um, Drop the coffee. I always say that. No, coffee and fasting are completely incompatible. Um, but once somebody's kind of moved out of this 2 or 3 year detox cycle of really healing their body and they want to go back onto the more dense foods to gain some weight or build some muscle, I believe bringing in a bit of fish or a bit of meat or whatever the body is asking for can be appropriate. But it's so unique in the sense that, yes, we all have the same human body, we're all humans designed the same way. But every single person is at a different level of toxicity and stagnation. And so they each need a different medicine to move them forward from that space. And I think this is why all the information wars and the diet dogma in the healing world, it doesn't really work and it's never going to work because
yeah.
everyone is sick in a different way and they need a different medicine.
Yeah.
So I'm very flexible with the people I work with. If they feel they need a certain food, we can bring it in after a while when it's safe after the fasting. And the beauty of healing the body and of cleansing is that once you heal your microbiome and you heal your gut and you're free of parasites, the body will start to speak to you. You will really know what your body needs in every single moment. Like now, where I'm at, I experience something called the call to fast, which is when my body, seasonally, it will just pull back and I'll have no hunger and I'll know it's time to fast.
Mm,
My body does this every Sunday now because I'm in the routine of fasting every Sunday.
mm.
Sometimes I forget what the day is and I wake up in the morning and I know I'm not hungry and then oh, it's Sunday. My body knows,
Wow.
it's the routine and my body enjoys that fasting. And I believe this is something we all have inside of us naturally, but it's kind of overpowered by the stimulating foods we consume. But
Mm,
once the microbiome is healed, you'll walk into a supermarket and the food that you need to eat will just light up and you'll know that your body needs it. And that's really where we're meant to be. You know, it's not about reading through all these scientific journals and trying to master the optimum human diet. It's
Yeah.
about trying to master your own body and just unraveling all these layers that aren't you, all these layers of toxicity that are kind of clouding your vision of what your body actually wants. And what I really want is for my clients and for people not to rely on me to tell them what to eat. I want you to connect to your own body. What
Yeah.
does your body need, Rebecca? You
Yeah.
know your body better than me. And your body is far wiser than I will ever be in this lifetime. That is wonderful. Your body is guiding you. Your body's guided you into this fast.
Mhm.
And you're going to experience so much.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many light bulbs going off. That is so good. Because yeah, we have so many, because of what we've consumed, not only just the food, but everything we're watching all the time, everything we're seeing all around us, we are so cut off from listening to our bodies that we really don't even know what we really need or want. You know, we're just feeding, you know, whatever we can grab, we eat. And again, it's paralleling for me the relationship with Jesus. Like in this world, we are just constantly faced with sin and with all these things that are not of him. And the more we consume that and the more we see that, the further we get from him, which is why we have to go into the quiet place and be with him. It's just it's so similar to me, you know, the relationship with him and the relationship with our own bodies.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned, you know, going into the wilderness, and I did, you know, my part of my salvation story was, it wasn't a fast, but it was 10 days. Well, I guess it was a fast in a sense. It was 10 days of silence. I was in this Vipassana meditation retreat where there was no, you know, no technology, no reading, no, it was just complete silence, no talking. And that was when the Lord was able to reach me, you know, where I got a clear message that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. So I think there's something really powerful to that. I don't suggest the, you know, Buddhist style of meditation, but going into these periods of pure silence where you are, you know, in the wilderness, like completely removed from society, I think is so powerful. And you had a similar experience, right? You said the 12 days where you were in Bali, where you had nothing. And isn't that part of your salvation story as well?
Yeah, it definitely is. It
So
definitely is.
beautiful.
So many people have met Christ fasting, and that was really my story. So, in the spring, I did, like I mentioned before, 12 days of water in silence in Bali.
Mhm.
And I was just there to, well, I thought I was there to heal my colon, but really I knew that I was so done with these cycles I was playing in the new age. You know, I was so done with trying to create my perfect reality, trying to know myself, trying to master all of these things, trying to be the best at everything because I thought that would make me safe and okay and at peace.
Mhm.
So I spent 11 days sat trying to figure out what to do with myself in complete silence, you know, nothing going on, no one to talk to, no books, no music, nothing. I was just chanting and doing a lot of goddess worship, trying to kind of figure out what was going on because I've always known there is more than just this 3D reality. And I knew, you know, like, I didn't think my life was falling apart for nothing. I could feel there was something going on, but I didn't really know what. And so I climb up the days and I'm doing all this goddess worship and meditation and trying to figure it all out and feel connected and peaceful and get this grand plan. Nothing happens. And I'm just sat there, you know, getting frustrated, getting annoyed with myself, you know, when you have those moments, you just think, why am I doing this? What am I doing? What's the point? I want to go home. I want to watch TV. I want to eat cake. We all get like that. Um, and then on day 12 of the fast, I end up just really surrendering, reluctantly surrendering, because I just feel so frustrated. And it's like the weight of carrying my own life for all of these years, the weight of all this grief, all this responsibility, all these plans, all these manifestations that worked but didn't really work because they hurt me more, all these almost experiences of something supernatural that could have been God but isn't. I just felt the weight of all of it on my shoulders, and there was actually a massive storm on day 12, which looking back was probably quite biblical. One of my friend's huts blew away completely in the wind. The trees were bending over sideways. The wind was howling. My hut was completely open to the elements. I'm just like, okay, what's going on? But yeah, I break down because I feel the frustration and the pain of losing everything and trying to figure it all out, being in these cycles in the new age, feeling all these emotional highs and lows, but not really making progress. And I'm also in some physical pain, which can happen when you're fasting. And I'm on my bathroom floor and I'm calling out, and I'm like just calling out loud, asking for someone to just help me. And I call out all the names of every single goddess or deity or angel or whoever I ever knew, because I was just like, anyone, someone pick up the phone. And it didn't work. And then at the end of that, it's like the penny drops internally, and I call on the name of God, and I say the word God, and I mean the one God in my heart and soul. And I just say, God, if you're going to help me, help me. If you're going to save me, save me. If you're going to kill me, do it. Anything. I don't care anymore. I know I can't control this. This has all gone wrong. I'm exhausted. I'm in pain. I hate this. I just gave it all over, and I literally screamed this out into the storm. And after that, it's like I just felt such a deep peace in my heart, like I had given all of these burdens over. At the time, I didn't really know what this peace was or where it came from, but that was the beginning of everything. And my life is radically different now because of that moment on the floor with myself. In a water fast, I was empty. I became so completely empty that all I could see was my frustration and my pain and my aloneness and the feeling that I had run 10,000 marathons in circles and not got anywhere with all the new age work I'd done. But because the water made me so empty and opened me up and I could see all of this, there was space for him to come in. And I think it doesn't matter where you are or what you believe in, if you grew up, if you know the Bible, anything, if you become empty and you truly have a sincere heart and want something different, God will come in. Because if you seek him sincerely, you will find him. And you don't even have to know that God comes to people usually when they fast or know about the Bible or know about calling on his name. It's about your heart posture. Only later did I read the Bible and read in Romans, if you call on his name, he'll be there. Read about the importance of fasting. It's like I was mapping out my life backwards now. Like, oh, I did that and the evidence is here.
Right.
And that's how we figure out where we are and what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bible 100% came to life after I accepted Jesus. It was just
Mhm.
like, whoa, all of this is literally happening in my life, or it has happened,
Mhm.
So amazing. And yeah, it makes so much sense because I've spoken about it before, that like a lot of times people have to come to the end of themselves and be in the pit, like be at their rock bottom and be so humbled that they can finally realize that they can't do it on their own. And like they need help, they need
Yeah.
Jesus. And when you're fasting for that long, you feel weak, you're weak, and he can be your strength at that point. And it brings you physically to a point where you're empty, like you said, and you're giving him an opportunity to present himself. So that is really powerful. 12 days. Ooh, man, 3 is the longest I've done.
Yeah.
12 is, wow. Is that the longest that you've done, is 12?
On water, yeah.
Wow. Oof,
Yeah.
wow.
But it's interesting because I had the experience of fasting so deeply before Jesus and also after Jesus. So
Right.
that
Oh, I was going to ask about that. That's a really good point. So yes, please
yeah.
explain.
So that really taught me the importance of dedicating the fast.
Mm,
The fasting and the prayer, these two go together. And when they're used together, they can be so, so powerful to heal you and break off all these things in your life. So before my baptism, actually, I fasted for 55 days just on juices, fresh fruit and vegetable juices that I made myself.
mhm.
And it was the easiest fast I've ever done in my life. I fasted that long on juices before, and it's like, yeah, I could do it, but there was this mental wrestling and this, I was pushing a little bit.
Mhm.
This one, every single day, I dedicated it to him. I had no plan to go for a certain number of days. I just said, every single day, God, I'm fasting for my freedom.
Yeah.
I'm fasting to prepare myself for the baptismal pool. Like it was kind of an internal baptism, I suppose. I wanted everything to be broken off me. And at this time, I didn't know too much about deliverance, but I just knew that there was a process of purification I had to go through to fully walk with Christ and fully invite him in. And it
Mhm.
was all these blocks that just needed to go away. And it's just so amazing that I literally had more energy and more happiness because I was dedicating my fast to him. Like I didn't think that would happen. I always thought the biology and the spirituality were separate. But actually, it gave me more energy. It gave me more strength. Most people, you could have spoken to me on day 54. You would have no idea I was fasting. I was jumping off the walls. I felt great.
Yeah.
It's because I invited him in and I surrendered. And that is so, so beautiful. And I think there is a lot to be said for fasting to be free of strongholds. I know that's a Christianese word, which
Yeah.
I didn't understand what it was for a while, but it's basically just like an attachment or like an addiction, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so if someone, a lot of people, maybe they're really struggling with addiction to sugar or emotional eating or some type of attachment to food or maybe alcohol or drugs or anything they're consuming, if
Mhm.
they need to break these strongholds, the best way to do it is through fasting and prayer.
Mhm.
Pull back from it, become empty of it, and actually just dedicate your fast to Him, because in those moments that you're craving and you want to go back to this thing, you can be shown what it is that's drawing you to that in the first place. Is there some grief that you need to give over? Usually it's grief. A lot of people, they have unprocessed grief. I think in Western culture, we don't know how to deal with grief.
Mhm.
People just carry on with it,
Right. Right.
and you can be shown what it is you need to let go of. And I think the process of letting go for me right now is really the key to the journey of just having more peace in your life and becoming more realized as the woman you want to be in Christ.
Mhm.
We think all the time that we are kind of empty in the sense that we are lacking and that we need to add something in. I need to add in this supplement, this superfood, this food, this meal, this lunchtime, all these 10 snacks a day, all these supplements, all these superfoods. There's a place for that. But actually, sometimes there's nothing to add. And a lot of people, they've struggled with digestive issues for years and years, and they've tried every diet under the sun, every supplement, every superfood. It hasn't really got them that far, because it's time to take away
Mhm.
instead of add. Pull back, let your body become empty, let your body do what it was designed to do, which is heal itself.
Yeah.
Take away the load of digestion for a while. Even just start with one afternoon. You don't have to push too hard. And it is interesting to really take note of this culture of consumption when you pull back and go into silence like you did, or fast,
Mhm.
even just from technology, because it shows you that we are just kind of, I don't know, taught that we are lacking and we need to take something in. People come to me all the time and they're like, Leonie, give me the right supplement, the right herb, the right food. I say, okay, there are wonderful things that I can give you, but sometimes there's nothing to add. Let's just pull back. Let's let the body do its work, okay? Because the mind will naturally empty itself. The body will naturally start purifying and working on the organs that need healing most when you go into the fasting space. If you invite the Holy Spirit in, He will guide you.
Mhm. Wow. And it's now I am understanding so much why the Bible says to pray and fast, because they go
Mm,
hand in hand, like you said. And
yeah.
dedicating the fast to him. We actually just talked about this at church the other day because we're starting the fast as a church. And
Mm,
my pastor brought up Zechariah, I forget which chapter, but they were talking about fasting, and the Lord said to them, why did you fast? Did you fast for me?
mm,
Because they were asking, do we have to keep fasting? And the Lord answered, well, why did you fast to begin with? So again, what is the intention behind your fast? Is it, just because you feel like you have to and you're like struggling through it and you're pushing through or white knuckling it, or are you doing it for the Lord and dedicating it to Him? And what
Mm,
will He uncover in that process if, like you said, every day you dedicate it to Him? And it's the Lord's doing something right now with me because I'm feeling this. It's too perfect. The timing is too perfect. Like I've been going through deliverance and I'm
mm,
coming up on what's likely my last session this afternoon, actually.
wow.
And we're going to be facing the biggest strongholds. They've been telling me, like, we've been kind of leading up to this the whole time, and I'm ready for it. And I know that it's still got a hold of me. And um, it's just so beautiful that I'm going to be facing this today in this session. And throughout these deliverance sessions that I've been doing, it's been this like I can feel things falling away, but at the same time, I can feel like there's a couple of things that I'm still carrying, that I'm still holding on to. And the Lord wants me to let them go and wants me to realize that it's not up to me. I have to surrender. I have to surrender. And I don't know, I'm just getting this message again and again of like, look to yourself. Look, because I always want to help everyone else. I want everyone to know Jesus. I keep, I have this podcast talking about Jesus, but there's more like I have to focus on my relationship with Him. And there's things in me that still have to be cleansed. And I'm definitely going through that process through the deliverance, and now going into this fast feels like it's perfect timing. And
Mm,
again, this conversation is perfect timing. It's just really amazing. So I'm really grateful for everything that you've shared, because it's been really, really helpful for me to being the fact that I'm on day 2 of this Daniel fast, and I didn't prepare properly. And I'm kind of doing it because my church is doing it. I'm like, oh, cool, great, but I need to make sure that every morning I'm being very intentional of why I'm doing this, and
yeah,
sit with the Lord and truly pray every day, fast and pray, so that I can make the most of this time with Him, because I can feel that He wants to do work in me, but I have to allow Him to.
yeah.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
I think it's about resting for you, resting your mind.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what He
it's,
tells me all the time. The message I constantly get is rest, rest in me. And
yeah,
um
I
it's,
feel
I guess, for me anyway, it's easier said than done, because I'm not used to that. I'm such a doer,
that.
especially with the new age mindset. It was do the work. So yeah, that idea of rest. So I want to ask you one more question before we wrap up, because I think it's really amazing to me, the work that you do and the healing that, it's all, there's a spiritual aspect, but also a physical aspect. So I'm curious, what types of like illnesses do people come to you with, and have you seen, healing occur from people that really dedicate themselves to this fasting?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I tend to focus on women's health, particularly chronic illness and pain. So I
Mhm.
get a lot of things like fibromyalgia, lupus, arthritis, but even digestive issues. I've seen tremendous healing in that. I really have. And I think it's important to acknowledge that healing is a journey. Some people will come and think, oh, I just want to do this for 3 months and then go back to my old life. Actually, no. If you come and you're ready to transform and give up the things that made you sick, you can see so much healing in your life. And when somebody surrenders to the emotional aspects of healing as well, that's when the real transformation takes place, because a lot of people, they eat the junk food because they don't love themselves enough.
Yeah.
That's the block I face most with people. I'll write them these beautiful protocols that I know work, but they might not always follow them because there's this emotional block. They're still leaning on these strongholds of the chocolate or the bread or whatever it is. And so I think that's really important to note. But for things like chronic pain, fasting is so, so, so powerful. And if anyone has any digestive issues, pulling back and letting your body heal itself is the way to do it. Your body knows how to heal. It really does. It was designed to heal. And I work as a fasting specialist now because when I was 21 years old, I was sick and dying in bed of chronic illness. Fasting saved my life and changed my life. I used to not be able to walk. I was that sick. And I healed myself through a series of long fasts. I did multiple 30-day juice fasts, and then I rolled over into the water fasting. I'm now pain-free. I'm up and walking. I work full time. He has really worked in my life so much, and I've seen so many miracles in the fasting. But it will heal you not just in body, but in mind and soul too. And you have to be ready for that. And one of my best teachers of fasting, she said to me, Leonie, you must remember there is no fasting without tears.
Mm-hmm.
That is part of it. That's part of the living water on the water fast. It's the tears, because you have to let everything go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I believe that every single person who commits themselves to this path, because fasting, it's a path, it's not something you just do for 3 days and then go back, you will experience so much transformation in your life, because you will be able to face the things that you weren't able to face before. And actually, that's all healing is. Mm,
Wow, so beautiful.
yeah,
Thank
can I
you.
read something from
Yeah,
Isaiah?
please.
Okay, so this is Isaiah 58, verse 6. Is this not the fast that I choose to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? It is not to share your Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and bring the homeless poor into your house, when you see the naked to cover him, and not to hide yourself from your own flesh? Then shall your light break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up speedily. Your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of God shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry, and he will say, Here I
That's
am. Mhm.
beautiful.
Yeah, I love that it talks about facing yourself in that. That's what I get from it, at least. Not to hide from your own flesh.
Yeah.
Face the things that come up, face the cravings, face the discomfort.
Mm.
Don't white knuckle them, just look at them and pray into them.
Well, thank you again. All of this is unbelievably topical and timely for me. So I hope it is for other people that are watching and other people that are listening. And yeah, can people, so you do work with people, if I were to put your website in the description, your Instagram, people can reach out to you if they're interested in working with you.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So I'm a naturopath. I specialize in therapeutic fasting to heal the body. You can reach me on my website. I do consults with people, health consults, or if you just have any questions, you can email me or reach out to me on Instagram.
Thank you so much. I know I will definitely be reaching out to you. So
Yeah, let
thank
me
you
know
very,
how it
very much.
goes. Honestly, I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, I will definitely keep you updated. All right. Thank
Yeah,
you again. Really appreciate it.
thank you so
Talk to you
much.
soon.
Lovely to speak to you as always.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe so this channel can reach more people. If you've gone from having New Age beliefs to now following Jesus, I would love to invite you to join our New Age to Jesus group. We meet twice a month on Zoom, and we also have a Telegram chat where we support each other daily. We always support each other, pray for each other, encourage each other. I know that this walk can be lonely and confusing when you're coming out of New Age and now accepting Jesus for the first time. And this group completely understands what you're going through, and we want to support you. So please use the link in the link tree to sign up for that today. And if you want to join our email list, please be sure to sign up for that as well. All the links are in the link tree. Thank you again for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.